Welcome to Daily Exchange. We're talking with Jimmy Nguyen here, and we're talking all about BSV and scaling and all the patents involved. See you guys right after this. Welcome back, guys. We're here with Jimmy Nguyen, the chair and strategic of the Strategic Advisory Board of nChain Group. Welcome to the Daily Exchange, Jimmy.
Thank you, Fred. I think I have finally met my match in energy. Props up.
Woo! Now, a bit of background on Jimmy yourself. You are an intellectual property lawyer by trade. And you've helped, obviously, launch the new Bitcoin Association, which is incredible. Yes. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit about this. You've obviously been a part of this, the Bitcoin SV fork from Bitcoin Cash and that incredible journey as well. You obviously chair of the State Bar of California's Intellectual Property Law section and co-chaired the Beverly Hills Bar Association IP, Internet, and New Media section. So patents in
a past life, but yes.
Brilliant. Now, just a bit of background here in terms of, we're going to talk about nChain, BSV, and patents. So last week it was revealed that nChain are looking for a specialized patent lawyer to handle the company's patents. And nChain currently have 666 blockchain patents to date. That's incredible. And obviously yourself, Jimmy, being an IP lawyer, wanted to just ask by sort of starting out, what sort of technology are you patenting with nChain?
Let me start, thank you for asking. Let me start by clarifying a couple things. One, I know people are saying online and in news that, all of a sudden nChain is looking for a patent lawyer. Actually, we already have one who started earlier this year, who came to us from Dolby, where he was senior patent counsel and also had prior experience at Philips IP. So the position that people have seen on the website is hiring a second one. We're trying to expand the team as nChain is maturing as an organization and growing. I had joined nChain after a 21-year career in private practice as a partner in corporate law firms in the United States, where I was an IP and tech lawyer, and I certainly helped build up at the time nChain's IP program as well as its business efforts, and then became CEO, and now I'm taking a more higher level strategic role. So the process that has taken us here to grow and mature nChain's patent portfolio has been in progress for a while. So this is not a new thing. And it's been part of the maturing of any business. And so to get to your question of what is nChain patenting, we get that question a lot. And I recognize it's because a lot of people in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency world do not like the word patent. They think it is, a dirty word. I'm here to tell you it's not. In any technology field, intellectual property is valuable. Companies in all industries pursue IP assets. We are a private enterprise. We're not like other Bitcoin groups that have existed in the past, like developer groups, right, that are providing for example, node software, and or providing projects that they want the community to use, which is great. It's wonderful that people do that. But part of Bitcoin's challenge to mature and professionalize has been, how do you fund those groups? How do you make Bitcoin into a global commerce system and a sound money and a powerful blockchain without having to rely on people who contribute as a side hobby, right? Who contribute on their free time when they have other full-time jobs. You cannot build a global economic system based on hobbyists, and that's not an insult to them. It's just a true reality. And so we at nChain have created a private enterprise, and as part of creating a private enterprise is you spend a lot of money hiring people and running a business, and so you have to create enterprise value. One of the ways we've decided to do that is to build an IP portfolio. And I'm going to take this moment to blow up and completely neutralize a huge misconception about nChain's patent portfolio that exists out there. I repeat this many times, I'm going to say it right here. We are not trying to patent the Bitcoin blockchain. We are not trying to patent the original Bitcoin code. We are not trying to patent the original Bitcoin protocol, because you cannot. It's been out there in the public domain as an open source code since the very beginning of Bitcoin, and you cannot patent it, and we're not trying to. And the people who suggest that have probably never read a single one of nChain's patent applications. What we are trying to do is protect inventions and innovations for doing new things and applications and techniques on top of the blockchain or using the blockchain. I'll give you this analogy, the internet, right? No one complains that there's so many companies out there that have internet related patents. There are huge amounts of them. But people are complaining that nChain's getting blockchain-related patents. So I'll give you an example of some of the inventions that are being covered. Some of our inventions have nothing uniquely to do with blockchain anyways. A couple of Craig Wright's key early inventions are security techniques, cryptography techniques, to allow better control and management of any digital resource or access to any digital communication device or resource. So for example, accessing a digital wallet, accessing something on your mobile phone can be better managed through his split key technique and a deterministic key generation technique that he created. In addition, some of our early patent applications are for things you can do with a blockchain. So we have, for example, a patent that's been granted for distribution and management of digital content using the blockchain. So a way to do DRM, digital rights management, where if you're a content owner or controller like Netflix or Amazon or Movie Studio, and you want to provide your content to users, right now they use customer databases to manage who's paid for a license, who's not paid for a license. You can make that a lot more efficient through the blockchain. And we have an invention that's a technique to do that through blockchain avenues. We have a invention related to smart contracts. Smart contracts people talk about a lot on other blockchain projects like Ethereum. So they're going to take a lot longer to develop. But one of our early inventions is about auto-renewing contracts, right? And how to make that more easily managed on the blockchain. So for example, let's say your Spotify account or your Dropbox account, which renews on a periodic basis, depending on when you make a payment every month or every year. There's ways to automate that through a blockchain lookup, as opposed to, for example, using traditional databases. So our team with Craig are creating inventions that allow businesses to do cooler, better, more efficient, more secure use cases using blockchain. But we're not and never have been trying to patent Bitcoin.
Brilliant. And some of those technologies that you've developed, are they currently in use by nChain right now?
So where we are at in our process is the patent process is a long process. So you mentioned earlier the number 666. We decided to play a little bit with that, and I wrote a blog post about that because people say Craig's so evil, so we decided to take that on and say, look, we're at 666. We're actually now past 700, I think, is the number of patent applications. So they're not all granted. So let's dispel that misconception. These are applications in process. We have a number granted, but it takes a long time. So our process is Craig or someone on our team comes with an idea for an invention. It goes through a process where he writes out a lot of notes about it. We send it to a sophisticated research team that works for us that all have PhDs or master's level degrees in a range of scientific fields. They investigate it to see if it works and also to compare it to what exists out there. And if they think that it is something protectable, then they write a white paper about it. So this is like a very formal process. They write an actual formal paper that describes what the technique or invention is. Then it goes to our patent lawyers who evaluate it, and they won't file a patent application for it unless they think it's actually patentable, which means it has to be novel. It has to do something that has an actual physical effect to improve something. And also, there can't be prior art that blocks it, right? So it's not like we just send something to the patent office and they give you a rubber stamp. It's actually a very lengthy, difficult process to get a patent.
Yeah. But so are there technologies right now that have been built by nChain on these patents?
So our process has been, nChain was built more to be like a research think tank. And so we have a lot of patent applications and inventions. And now we're moving to kind of the next phase of nChain's business, which is why we've been changing our leadership structure, where we did not want to have to build all the implementations of all of nChain's IP ourselves.
Right.
It would be too much. We have, I don't want to sound, cute about it. We have too much IP. We have too many inventions. We would have had to build a product house with like thousands of developers to be able to build actual implementations of all of these things ourselves. So the tack we're taking is a different one. We are building a professional services arm, which has been starting to grow at nChain, where we will be working with outside companies, many of whom do approach us already, asking for our help to design an implementation that they will build, for example, of a token, smart contract solution. And so we're kind of in the next phase of nChain's growth, where we've created a lot of IP, as Craig calls it, the basic Lego bricks, where if you put them all in different combinations, you can create something more sophisticated. And now we're starting to talk with outside companies to do essentially professional services engagements to help them build something that their company would use based upon nChain IP.
Got it. And are there any blockchains right now that sort of might be touching on some of the patents that nChain have?
That's a good question. And I don't want to get into all of our sort of obviously behind the scenes strategy, but we have seen other blockchain projects and other projects that definitely, touch upon a number of our, patent portfolio assets.
Makes sense. And then, would then nChain leverage some of those and I guess charge royalties, or how is nChain sort of planning to enforce its patents?
So let's take a step back and talk about the things that nChain is going to do that is good with its patent portfolio. We have expressed publicly that we are willing to provide a number of our IP assets for free usage on our preferred platform, which is Bitcoin SV now. As you know, we supported Bitcoin Cash in the past, but now we are throwing all our support behind Bitcoin SV. There's precedent for this in the technology world. Technology companies, as well as developers, create intellectual property all the time.
Yes.
Open source, there's a big misconception about it. Just because code is put out open source does not mean someone doesn't own the intellectual property behind it.
Yes.
Code is covered by copyright law and potentially other areas of IP. The person who owns the code has merely made the decision to make it available for free usage under certain license provisions. And as you know, there's different open source licenses, such as the MIT license. I devised an open now BSV license based upon a sample from Microsoft called their limited public license, where they make available software to developers for free usage on for Windows operating system applications, because they're trying to encourage developers to build things for their operating system, right? Just like Facebook might want to encourage developers to build applications that work on Facebook, they may make certain tools available for free usage on Facebook.
Yes.
Microsoft does the same thing for Windows operating system. So we've created an open BSV license under which we'll provide certain tools, like our Nakasendo software development kit, some of our IP assets, for free, royalty-free usage, as long as you're building an application or project that operates on the BSV blockchain.
And so that will build, so then outside developers and other companies can then build on BSV with these new tools which you've patented, and then you're providing free use. But I guess, and then there's a lot of questions in the community just about with the other ones that are sort of
what happens to them, right?
Yeah, maybe if you can explain that.
Sure. Yeah, and so like any IP holder, we have the right to decide who can use our IP.
Yes.
And so if there are companies that want to use our intellectual property for blockchains or on platforms that are not Bitcoin SV, they are perfectly free to contact us and say, hey, I would like a license to that. And we would engage in a business commercial negotiation like anyone would. For example, some exchanges and wallets are not exclusive to any cryptocurrency. Right?
Yes.
Some are. There are some BSV only wallets, but some of the nChain inventions, particularly for security improvement, wallets would be very useful to anyone running a digital wallet, especially exchanges who are especially concerned about hacks, right? Nobody wants another Mt. Gox hack of an exchange that would be, very damaging. And so if they were to approach us, they of course are not going to operate only on the BSV blockchain. But we're perfectly happy to have a business conversation with exchanges about designing solutions for them and engaging in a business negotiation for them to get the benefit of our IP.
Jimmy, can you tell us about some of the exciting, businesses that are approaching you? You said about your professional services and sort of, give everyone a bit of an update about that as well.
Sure. I think I shouldn't name any of the particular businesses now
Sure.
until some of the business negotiations have been firmed up. But I can tell you certainly the range of industries and cool ideas that will also give you an indication of the kinds of companies interested in building on Bitcoin SV.
Yes.
So we've been approached by, for example, a company that wants to reinvent digital advertising because, digital ads, a lot of advertisers feel like the amount they pay to place digital ads isn't really cost effective. They don't get a good ROI. So there's a company that is considering, reinventing how advertisers pay and engage with digital influencers, right?
Yes.
If you're got a big social media following, you might get paid by an advertiser, but maybe there's a way to do it where you're paid by micropayments with BSV for individual engagements. Every time if you posted a picture of your hair with great hair care product that you like, and anytime someone who follows you shares it, likes it, comments on it, paying with micropayments of BSV as opposed to doing the traditional advertising route. So that's an example of one. We've been approached by companies that want to do new kinds of property and land title registries, which is a very, powerful use case for the blockchain, including one that wants to consider 3D renderings on the blockchain, therefore needing much bigger data size that BSV can provide.
Brilliant.
There's a company in Asia that is talking to us about a certain type of Internet of Things device communication management that could be done on the BSV blockchain.
Right.
To use the blockchain to, manage how a device communicates to information about, let's say, something in the environment. So that's, I think, the kind of range of things we're seeing, and it's really exciting, I must say. We're also seeing things in the e-gaming and game space, which I think is a really ripe area for BSV usage.
Brilliant. Now, let's move on to talking about Metanet, which is an incredible project, super visionary. Maybe let's talk about nChain and CoinGeek. Maybe just to start off with, what's it like working with Craig Wright?
It is both my greatest and most frustrating experience of my professional life, but mostly greatest. He can be a frustration at times. That's no surprise probably to anyone. But he's one of these people who's probably challenged me more than anyone I have in my professional life. To think beyond my own mental horizons, right? To think outside the box. I know that's cliche to say, but it can be a challenge. He's got very strong opinions, but he's also, and I want people to really know this, smart enough to know when he needs help, when other people are better at things than he is. Sometimes, we do have, people have, especially some of our critics out there, have this mistaken belief that we're just a bunch of lackeys doing what, Craig says. I want you to know that that's not the case. And there are many times I have some serious disagreements with him where, we've had arguments. I sometimes just say, no, we're not doing that, but here's a better way or something else we can do. But the best parts of it, despite some of the frustrations, is just this amazing vision he has for what is possible with Bitcoin, beyond anything I've heard from anyone else in any of the crypto and blockchain sphere. The consistency with which he voices that, because whether you like him or not, believe in him or not, he has been consistent from day one that he wants the original pure Bitcoin and what it can do.
Yes.
And he's really opened my mind to, I wish I could tell you some of the things of what we believe is possible with Bitcoin. It's mind-blowing. It's utterly mind-blowing. And for me, as someone who is a lawyer young at the time, starting to work when the internet boom was happening in the 1990s. That's when I got out of law school and started emerging to the professional world and watched this, technology leap into our lives and change it. For me, this is an interesting second opportunity, having done that, to now work at the birth of a really amazing new technology, but this time with someone who just is, who gets it so well. So it's exciting, it's great, it's challenging. There are times I wish it could be easier, but we've developed a really good working relationship, and he doesn't trust a lot of people. And I think the trust is important so that we can each tell each other when we think we're wrong.
Yep.
And change each other's opinions. And he needs that. And people should know that he needs and actually likes people to challenge him. He doesn't want people around him just saying yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. No, he wants someone to make everything we do better.
Brilliant. And there's
He's an Aussie, so he's got a wicked sense of humor.
That's true. There's I guess a lot of just dialogue about Craig being Satoshi and things like that. And it's all a bit, I think it's still unclear or to some extent. And I guess I just wanted to just get your take in what sort of evidence you have or anything, or anything you wanted to do you have any views on that?
Sure, of course I do. And before I joined nChain, I think long and hard about, leaving my blue chip, comfy corporate law partner life and, my corner office in the sky to go work in the Bitcoin world with who may or may not be Satoshi Nakamoto, right? That's an interesting leap of faith from someone like of my background. First, I guess I would answer that by saying, I don't know there's any single piece of evidence he could provide to anyone in the world where someone will say, okay, well, that definitively proves you're Satoshi Nakamoto, right? People want that, but even if he signs with certain keys, there's going to be critics who say, well, that doesn't mean anything. It means you have the keys, but does that mean you're Satoshi? I gauge things differently. First of all, I had to ask myself, does it matter to me whether he is or isn't? Or do I believe in what he's doing and his capacity to do it? Because if I made all my decisions based on whether I thought he was Satoshi, you could be setting yourself up for a big, disappointment, right?
Sure.
If you come to the CoinGeek conference, which I know we're going to talk about in Toronto, we're going to close the conference on May 30th with a personal conversation I'm going to have with him, with his permission, where we're going to talk about this, the whole Satoshi question and the beginnings of Bitcoin.
So May 30th
Yes.
in Toronto.
Yes.
It's a big event. Any other? So this is quite a topic. What else is going to be on at the CoinGeek?
Oh, so we have a developers day, the day before the main conference day on May 29th, with development teams talking about, Bitcoin Node SV development, new applications and projects going on. On the main conference day, we've got presentations from a number of great applications and ventures doing things on Bitcoin SV, some enterprises, payment gateways are going to talk about providing payment services. We just announced BSV's first virtual hackathon, which will be taking place online on May 4th and 5th. A few weeks before the competition, the conference. And after the online competition, 3 finalists will be chosen and a representative each flown to Toronto to present their solution for the hackathon in front of the whole audience and have the actual final winner chosen by a panel of judges, including the live audience.
Brilliant.
Game show. And then we, some of the top leaders in the Bitcoin space will be there speaking. And we're going to conclude with the conversation with Craig about the Satoshi question and the beginnings of Bitcoin, because I think he's never had a comfortable opportunity to talk about it in a way he's comfortable with. As people saw 3 years ago, there was this media effort that if you watch the interviews with him, you can tell, like that BBC interview, he was highly uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right. Having talked with him and his wife, because I wanted her to be comfortable with this, because I'm very good friends with Craig's wife as well. And, I know part of my role is to protect, maybe the wrong word, but yeah, in some ways to protect them and what they're doing,
Yeah.
their life mission and their family. And she was okay with it because, she feels it's time for him to tell the story in a way he's comfortable. And I think doing it with me, he's, a lot more comfortable than in other settings.
Brilliant.
So in terms of, I know you think, okay, I haven't really answered the exact question. I believe from my working with Craig as closely as I do for the past 3 years, there is no other person out there that understands Bitcoin, how it works, its original design, and what it's capable of, and why certain things are in the code and scripting language, and why certain things were constructed than him. So does that mean I believe he's Satoshi Nakamoto? Well, first of all, I think Satoshi Nakamoto is a group of people. I don't think that's a shock to anyone out there. And do I believe he was part of that group? Tune in May 30th and find out. CoinGeek Toronto.
I like that pitch. Good anticipation there, Jimmy. I gotta take a lesson from your book on that one. So that's May 30th, Toronto, the CoinGeek event. That sounds like an incredible event. And Calvin Ayre, I believe, will be there as well.
He will. He's the man behind CoinGeek.
Yeah, tell us about, how did that relationship start between CoinGeek and nChain?
Well, Calvin's been interested and dealt with Bitcoin for a while. It's the online gaming industry. It's one of the first industries to really adopt Bitcoin a long time ago. And so he got introduced to Craig, and they became friends a number of years ago. I feel like saying 2015 or so. And then obviously Calvin has learned a lot about Bitcoin from Craig. And so when nChain emerged, Calvin was kind of getting more involved in Bitcoin. He started the CoinGeek brand as a media site at first, and then decided to start getting into mining, right? He started his mining operation. He just kind of got more and more and started investing. So nChain and CoinGeek are very close business allies. We do a lot of things together. Obviously, we both have mining operations. We fought the hash war together. We align on things. We're starting new efforts at investing where, for example, CoinGeek is providing investment funds and nChain is providing access to its IP and technical portfolio to the investment companies. So we find lots of ways to work together, to work very closely together between the nChain and CoinGeek teams. Calvin is another bold personality. He, I know he's provocative, but if you look back in the history of what happened with the hash war, and if we do what we intend to do, which is to fully restore Bitcoin's original vision and make it succeed, he and Craig will be seen as the defenders of Bitcoin, right? He decided to take a stand and risk resources, money, time, to say, I want to ensure the original protocol survives. So whether you like what he does or doesn't do, you really got to respect him for that. And he's definitely one of those people who's willing to put his money where his mouth is, right? He invests, he does things, he moves quickly. And he's really excited about Bitcoin. He believes this is just the next amazing technology. He's happy to support it, and working with him, the energy is amazing. He moves at lightning speed, so trying to keep up with them and everything they want to do is can be a challenge. But I got to hand it to him. Very few people would have, to use a poker analogy, put all the chips on the table, right? Go all in. And he's really doing that with Bitcoin. And we're happy to have him as our partners and allies. And I get asked periodically about the combination of the three of us because we're such different personalities.
Yes.
And we work very closely together. How I would describe the three of us is, Craig has like the vision. He's like the brilliant scientist head, right, of what Bitcoin is. I help communicate our message, but also help in implementing Craig's vision because he needs help doing that. He's the person who thinks way up here, and he needs someone to figure out how to make it happen in real life. And then Calvin provides the rocket fuel. He's like the igniter, just right? To both financial, investment in the ecosystem and his own ideas and his media megaphone. So it's an interesting combination, and the three of us It's I wouldn't have predicted that I would be doing this at this point in my life, but it's been an amazing ride.
Brilliant. Okay, so we got sort of three last questions. Just the first one that is submitted from our audience. What do you think will make what do you think people can do to make Bitcoin more valuable? That's a very simple question, but I think it's important.
They can use it. People mistake cryptocurrency value with getting rich quick because they've seen sort of the skyrocket rises of cryptocurrency, particularly at the top of the market. Last year, of course, we've had a bear market since. And the reason is because cryptocurrency has been volatile because it doesn't have true inherent value yet, right? Even Bitcoin, BTC, its rise was fueled by speculation. Let's be honest, right? And so that's why we're so focused on the BSV blockchain, on utility, building real actual usage of it that is for payments as well as all these other enterprise applications, and that will sustain the real monetary value of it and make it less volatile. So the more people just use BSV, the more value it'll have. And that could mean sending payments for it. It could mean using these new tools to use BSV to upload files to the blockchain. There's applications out there for like video streaming and paying for video access. There's all kinds of new things that people are doing. There's Bitstagram, which I really love, is like Instagram on Bitcoin, right? You can pay little amounts of BSV to upload pictures. There's Pixel Wallet, where you can actually send Bitcoin through an image to somebody. The more you use it, the more valuable it will be. It's not just about trying to, it's nice to go evangelize and tell friends about it and get them on board. That's great. But using it in your daily life is probably the most important thing. And for those of us who work in professional business settings, talking to businesses and enterprises about the capabilities of enterprise blockchain usage you can do on it, because that will drive some significant value. But it's usability. It's plain and simple. You
Brilliant.
Use it, world uses it a lot, it'll be more valuable.
And what do you think people maybe should avoid that might make it less valuable?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure there's anything. The only thing I suppose I could say is to avoid, the pump and dump, sort of activity where people are always trying to like shout about, oh my gosh, my coin's the best, and I want to like drive up the price, and then I'm going to sell off some coins so I can make some money, right? Short term, that might be beneficial. Long term, that's not, right? It gives Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency a bad rap, and we don't want that. We want sustained value, not the idea that you could just so easily pump up the price and exit and make some money.
Brilliant. And last question we ask everyone on the show. At New Year's Eve 2019, what do you think in US dollars the price of Bitcoin will be? Obviously, this is not financial advice. We don't do financial advice on this show.
Well, Bitcoin Core, BTC, that's a good question. What do I think it'll be? First of all, I will say I try not to think about price because we're trying to build value. Bitcoin Core, I don't think has a long-term future. So by New Year's Eve 2019, I don't know. Maybe it'll be $3,000 less than it is today. Bitcoin Cash, I'm not going to comment on. Bitcoin SV, I'll be realistic. I'm not going to, try and suggest there's going to be some quick rise to the moon for BSV. But I could see it being $300 or $400 by New Year's Eve 2019. 500 if we're really optimistic. Anything above that, awesome.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Jimmy, thank you so much for joining us on the Daily Exchange and enlightening us. I know there were a lot of questions there from our community, and I appreciate you just cutting to the chase and explaining exactly what's going on.
I try to be a straight shooter.
Awesome stuff. All right, guys. That is Jimmy Nguyen on the Daily Exchange. We'll see you guys later. Yeah.